Hello everybody. Joseph told me to talk about what I'm working on latest. So it's autonomous vehicles, and I came from focusing on AI. And I want it to be not just about how awesome is digital transformation. So, and I saw a lot of people were interested in big data. So I have 3 technologies that I want to give an introduction. Some of you might already know about it, but I want to introduce you. And then I have about 8 different slides talking about where this is being applied in variety of industries. I always kind of try to stay on the edge of learning. So, and it took me, now I'm saying this statement, but it took me about 20 years to figure this out, that I like to be surrounded by people who are smarter than me, and I like to know what I don't know. And I like to feel kind of stressed that, oh my God, I don't know this and everybody else is smart. And that is why I come to BTS, because each year you have a smart pool of people, and you don't know how smart you are, you don't know what you bring, you're just looking at the whole diversity in this place. Once you have a business background and you have a technology, it's an awesome place, because now you can actually own and build businesses, you can do interesting jobs, but then you have the strength of knowing technology, so you can ask the right questions. If somebody is going to take you for granted, you know what they're doing, you know to deal with it. How many of you know what is IoT? Okay.
In fact, Sudha, all of you had the chance last week to attend the IoT World Congress.
Okay.
So I suppose that some idea of IoT or
Yeah. So IoT stands for Internet of Things. And it basically means you take ordinary things. It could be your clothing, it could be your shoes, it could be chair, it could be light, it could be medical equipments, it could be a city lights, anything that's just an ordinary thing. Give it connectivity, connect to the internet, and see if you can control it and do something more interesting to solve for problems in interesting ways. And building a business with it is, now I have this chair has IoT connection, so it knows when somebody sits on it. If Joseph wants to see how many students are in the room, he doesn't have to count and people come in and out. You could have an automated app which just does that. I mean, I'm just giving an example. It's not the most useful, fundable app, but you could conceive of ideas like that and figure out where there is a business need. I mean, the same thing, if it is a big conference, maybe there is a need. Somebody would pay for it to know how many people were there attending different sessions, or there could be business value. You'll have to explore that. And I'm going to be showing a bunch of these. I'm not going to focus my talk on IoT, but it's in variety of industries. So that excites me. And then I like diversity of thinking of the same idea. When somebody gets it versus somebody else gets it, can become a different business. And so I interview people who are working on farming using IoT, but from 3 different countries, how are they doing? So my goal is to share that knowledge so that somebody out there would benefit from it, draw inspiration to go do something else awesome. So now coming to the real topic, right? So if you remember my original slide, I said machine intelligence, AI meets AV. AI is artificial intelligence, AV is autonomous vehicles. So here's a snapshot of about 1,500 companies that have got about $9 billion funding. They are all doing something in the artificial intelligence space. And I just wanted to give you a snapshot of it. There's computer vision, there's robots, there's gesture control. Maybe you can move your hands and play songs or do something more interesting. Video stuff, there's all these virtual assistants. It's just different categories, but there's hundreds of companies. And then why does that matter for us here in BTS when you're talking about digital transformation, right? All of these are creating some kind of disruption, and digital transformation it is changing the business using digital technology in some form, right? So here's another landscape of what I call as broader machine intelligence, and I'll give you what is machine intelligence in detail in the next slide. So artificial intelligence in one, and then a whole bunch of technologies which is grouped as machine intelligence. What is it doing? Here I want you to focus on the circles, though it is exciting to see all other things around it. What is in the circle is what industries are being impacted. There is, somebody said they came from an ad industry. Ad tech is now a technology industry. Education, finance, legal, I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but every one of them is touched by artificial intelligence and is being impacted. Okay. So I'm going to show you key AI technologies. and then go from there. So as I promised, machine intelligence. So you would hear about artificial intelligence and whether robots and AI, can they develop consciousness, can they take over the world, where are they being used. In its basic form, there are a lot of different pieces of technology, and AI research has been going on for many years. This is just another wave. That's the beauty of technology. It comes as a wave, and people like you, when you can grab onto it either from inside companies or startups and create businesses, then it becomes big. Otherwise, it just goes away, and then it will come back after 5 years, 10 years again. Okay. So the core technology is called machine learning. I'm going to tell you what it is. And then there is something called deep learning. I'm going to tell you what that is also. And then there's a whole bunch of things. There's pundits who argue it should all be called machine learning, it should all be called machine intelligence. There are people from old world of AI who says this has already been done, you should not call this AI. I really don't care. I just think it's just a jargon for us to understand that here's this technology, now what can you do with it to create business value, okay? So you must have known facial recognition in your phones, it identifies the same person, and then if you talk to devices, it takes your text and converts to speech, and speech to text, all of them are in the realm of AI. How many of you know what is machine learning? Okay, so basically, the way we did write programs, right, is the engineers thought about what do I want the computer to do, broke it down to steps, created the logic, and then translated that to code. That means it was limited by what the engineer could think of every possible scenario and do that. So machine learning is a new paradigm of programming where you have data and you just feed the data to the computer, and the computer forms geometric patterns and says, oh, I see this kind of pattern, and based on that, it will help you make a decision. So what it means is a self-driving car, it's going to be run by an algorithm, right? The car has to decide at every point in time, should I keep moving forward or should I stop? That's what I said as decision. It's a pointed single decision. If somebody in tech is going to write a program which will think of all the scenarios, scramble it, even if they could do it programmatically, to actually run that algorithm in every second is going to take some seconds. Within that, we'll kill people, right? So what they did is they said, let's take videos of the road and feed it. That's the data. So when you say data, people think of it as ones and zeros in a spreadsheet. When you think of data in a business world, it could be weather data, it could be your customer behavior data, it could be videos, it could be images, it could be cells in our body, it could be anything, right? Anything that can be digitized as in put in a computer, you can feed to the computer, audio, right? All of those, right? So you feed it to the computer and it is seeing patterns, and so it could be looking at your customer data and say, let me segment this set of users, and this set of people come back every day, this set of people come back only during Christmas. I'm going back to my retail world, right? Or it could be patterns like that. It segments your customers, or it can be any kind of data, okay? And it predicts an outcome. The second technology is computer vision. It's basically you look at an image, or it could be a video where it has many images, frames, which creates a video, and the computer looks at it and it tries to make sense of it. How many of you know what is deep learning? Okay, so the number came down from, okay, it's the same for guys, okay, good. So deep learning is just like machine learning, but even more advanced. So when you tell the computer, I want to understand whether there's a human in this frame, that's what it's doing. So the car, here in this case, it's recognizing objects. A car, this is how the car is looking at the road, and the car sees two other cars. The car could see a human running around, jaywalking pedestrian. The car could see a lot of things. So in autonomous vehicle technology, they use computer vision to slice the frames. They use machine learning for reams of data to figure out the various different objects, and then they make decisions to stop. If there's an object, don't hit it, stop. It's as simple as that. So the programmer logic was just to say stop, while the machine, did all the logic and said, I think you need to stop, I think there's an object of this kind or that kind. So what they did is, deep learning is an advanced version of machine learning in how they teach the computer reams of data. They don't even say, I'm looking for a human, and this is the definition of a human. They are this size, and then if they crawl, you might miss it. Then when the computer makes a mistake, you say, hey, a crawling human is still a human, now identify it next time. And so you're training that, and so it's left to the human to keep giving this right data. So what you might not realize is, even if you all go purely onto the business side and go build products, you're going to have the task of coming up with that data and feed the data so that it actually communicates. It's a human in this case, or it could be in your industrial setting, whether it covers all the different customer scenarios. Do you have the data for it? That is a business product manager's task, and that's a hard job in huge demand. But you need to understand machine learning intricately. You need to understand to know what is BS when they talk about machine learning, and if somebody and some engineer says that can't be done, you need to know whether that's real in English, not in Python, right? It doesn't matter, right? And so deep learning is a technology where they said we cannot humanly imagine every object that's going to cross the road. So we cannot say, here identify a car, here identify a human, and here identify a duck. So deep learning is the technology where they said, you know what, I give up. I'm not even going to imagine every possible object that is going to show up. I'm just going to feed all this data, let the computer figure out all the patterns it sees and identifies different objects. So that's the idea. So that's the deep learning technology. So in essence, you can think of it like machine learning, but it's just taking feeds of data and figuring out pattern. Ultimately, they're coming with the same decision, one, whether I should stop or go, whether this customer is put this in this segment or this segment, or with medical data, is this a pathogen or is this a normal cell, things like that. So there are various things, how these technologies are applied to various different industries. And so I just thought I will show you key digital transformations that would cover a breadth now, variety of industries. So what does it mean? Like, you are going to be digital transformation leaders. So it's far reaching, it's global across all industries. First, there's an urgent need, and creates a unique skill set of tech and business, which is what you get from BTS. And you need data literacy, right? You don't need to code, you don't need to know more, but you need to be aware of the boundaries of data, how it is being applied. And then you're going to need some kind of design thinking, and Charles is here, so he will tell you about all design. So that's covered. And then the thing that nobody tells you is you need a lot of soft skills. You need imagination. The other thing is you need customer empathy, and I will leave it to Susanna to talk to you about it, because she's an expert on it and is working on it. But you need to actually put yourself in the shoes of your customer and think of them as real people who just do not want to change. They want you to build a system that would work for them and just not mess with them, just let them be, okay? And the third thing is collaborative leadership, which is you have to work, if you're a business person or a tech person, you have to work collaboratively. So the first thing is robots, and again, and this one is me sitting with Alexa on one side and Google Home on the other side. That's a real security robot called Nightscope that's roaming our malls in San Jose. And it's being used in security, customer service. And drones fly, they have eyes in the sky, and it's a $127 billion business. And they do medical delivery in war-torn Rwanda. They can run in swamps and go underwater. That's a medical drone being experimented from in Netherlands that does transportation in a rugged terrain. And deep learning is basically what I said, right? That you feed reams of data. So obviously the self-driving car uses deep learning, but the area where it touches us is in healthcare. Look at all the cells in our body. Look at our medical history of millions of people for many years. It's all sent to the computer to do deep learning, and then it says, do I see a cancer cell, or can I predict that this population is going to get kidney disease from all the pattern of data I'm seeing. And this group of people show a behavior where they're going to get kidney disease. So I believe that 50 years from now, not even 100 years from now, that's why I call myself a technology futurist, we are going to have a world where we will not go to the doctor and then be treated for a disease. We are going to be predicted that we are going to get a certain disease, and we are going to be called proactively to get it fixed. So the next is the robots, but they are social robots. These are, this one on the right is a robot in San Jose, it's called Norma, and the one on the left is called Spencer. Last year when I was talking to BTS, there was actually a student here who came from Amsterdam who had actually met Spencer in the airport. So it was amazing. So social robots require a different kind of AI where they need to understand our behavior, unpredictable behavior of human interaction. Okay. And then the new wave that's coming with the autonomous vehicles is when the car becomes autonomous. The point I wanted to make is as transportation becomes a service and it becomes autonomous, it changes how we do everything, how we shop, how we live, how we move around. So that's the point here. So all those industries are going to be impacted. And then the area of IoT where it applies AI with big volume of data is smart cities. All our traffic signals, the roads have sensors, parking lots can actually tell you whether there's already a car in there today. What if you get more data and you can do more intelligent things? What if my car could drive around and park itself? It drops me, and it goes park itself, and using blockchain, and it just pays off, and comes back and picks me and does something more useful. It could actually create a market space with cars talking to each other as to where is the best parking or what is the best rate for it, and optimize their time. So like I said, it's imagination. And then I briefly mentioned this, smart agriculture. It's called precision agriculture, and I've looked at it in at least 4 different countries, and it's very fascinating. It's similar tech, but it's applied very differently. And then manufacturing is called smart manufacturing or factory 4.0, where I've given an extreme image of a robot making the cars, but it might be just that, or it could be any degree of automation. And this one is a BMW picture, but Tesla has committed to make a Model 3, which is the latest car, and they sold about $1 billion worth of pre-orders at $1,000 each, and the car is at $30,000. And so there's a lot of backlog that they have to manufacture, and every manufacturer is watching, and they are tooling up a robot to actually build that. Right now they're doing it manually, I heard, but then once they get the robot doing it, then they can speed that up. So that's cognitive IoT, where you use the AI with all the IoT data. And then general automation in all possible industries. So there is automated tractors. There is this concept of platooning trucks, where it's not just one car driving autonomously. And this is a innovation from Europe. Now it's taking off, but every year, have you heard of platooning trucks? Every year in Europe, a set of trucks, I think about 40 trucks, they drive together. They are all autonomous. The first truck is the one with the brain, and they drive, and they end up in Amsterdam, I believe. It's a robotic boat, so it's a rowboat, and again, it can attach a bunch of these boats together and create a bridge. Think of if you're in a transportation business or in a construction business, your world just blows away, right? And it's possible you go work in a construction company, they're doing the same old thing, they don't know this is coming. So one of the things that you should be doing while you're in BTS is think about these new possibilities and where it can be applied. And when you go to work, also stay on top of tech, right? And say, hey, use your imagination. How will this disrupt my industry? Is there a potential of we could be doing something? And bring that in. And then this is recent news, it's not yet out, where Rolls-Royce says that they're going to bring autonomous ships. And they're using some kind of AI from Google to do the same thing. And then the last one is a concept called digital twins. How many of you have worked in an industrial setting, like any kind of industry? Okay. So a cognitive digital twin is basically used in industry, right? I mean, it can be used in agriculture, but it's typically used in devices, in pharmaceutical or food distribution, or manufacturing, automotive. So the concept is anything that's a digital asset, anything that is an asset like a turbine or a car or a factory equipment, right? The way it is done before is you buy this and you run it. You maintain logs of how much it is used, what is the production, and wear and tear, when it is breaking, when you rotate it for maintenance, and it happens, right? And there's reams and reams of data, and there's lots of jobs of people looking at this. Now what is happening is there is this concept of digital twin, where you take the asset from when it is created or it's just bought in, and you create a digital copy. So digital copy looks sexy, but it's just a database, So you say, here's the asset number, it was created this day, and here is the load of what it has taken. Here are all the different sensors of its temperature, its humidity, and wear and tear, and you keep managing that. Then what happens is, at some point you want to say, should I rotate this machine? Is it going to break? Something is going to happen. You don't need to wait for it to break. You just adjust your database numbers and say, if I put more load on it, what will happen? So that turbine here, what they did is, the car, they took the Tesla car, created a digital twin, and said, instead of running it till it breaks and find out what is the benchmark, how it can take. So there's a concept called labels, and then you actually have to say what is the outcome that you're looking for. Suppose the algorithm is to find objects, then you basically make it identify the object.
And then you set them parameters.
And then you say you failed. You basically tell the computer, it's like a reward, right? You say, hey, you did right or you didn't do it right. And then it would go back and say, okay, I'll do it better. Give me more data, I'll do it better. And so there's a version of it called reinforced learning, where you just iterate and keep feeding it. So it could play a game of chess, but then you have to define what is winning. You have to define what is the reward. And if it doesn't reach the reward, it will keep iterating, and you have to keep feeding more data. So it's a stats model, so it just has a certain confidence. It says, with 60% confidence, I can tell you there's an object. That's not good enough, right? With 80% confidence, I can tell you this is a cancer cell. Blow it. Not good enough, right? So you have to keep doing it. So you say, what is the reward? And then it's like a dog running to get the reward. Yes. The way real business works is not that the engineer builds something and then the customer just buys it, right? There's an engineer, there's somebody who says this can be productized this way. There are all these business people saying, here is my customer, and let's not sell it to this customer, let's sell it to this customer. Then there are sales people. There are regulation people who say, I won't let your car out into the market or this autonomous machine out into the market unless it meets these needs. And so they check off. So if the regulator didn't ask for it and you passed, they are to be blamed. And if you build something and if your business side folks let it pass, they take the blame too. And then there are lawyers in companies who look at everything, especially in technology companies. The lawyers know as much technology as a business person, and they poke around and say, what if this happens? Yes, there must be engineers baking this, but there's a lot of business people around thinking about this. So especially now, as a business person, you need to be smart about asking questions. Have you thought about this? What kind of algorithm have you put in here? Why is it this way? And you'll have to raise that question, because if you're a business person helping design a system, it's equally your fault. So I am so pleased with with this group here today, because this is what you need to be thinking, because it is not just tech, it's you have to think of different scenarios and ask the question. Think about, what is the business risk if this happened? You as business people have to be smart about the technology aspect and decisions made. And you can, is it something that you can actually make the engineer show it to you, or is it something that you have to believe? How do you actually set the benchmark for it and then go figure out the boundaries of it? So that's something that you have to do as a business person. You have to think about it. As business people, it's a business person's thinking. So you need to understand the boundaries of technology. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you.